Welcome to this Flight Simulator update movie. In this movie we're gonna look at what has been released this year for Flight Simulator 2020. In total there were 3 sim updates being released, and we also had several world updates. UK and Ireland, Benelux, France, the Nordics, and the last one, Germany, Austria and Switzerland. All of them added a lot of content, including photogrammetry, handcrafted airports, updated airports, and of course point of interest, which we can all see on this nice world map. Right, so if we're zooming out, we can see that there's a ton being added as part of the world updates. So I'm really looking forward to the new world updates coming this year, or I should actually say next year, which will be released, because there's not a lot of announcements around that. The biggest announcement was the hotfix for sim update number 7, which is, I would say, still in preview. I'm also wondering why they call it the hotfix. I was hoping that they would call it sim update number 8, or at least would add those fixes to sim update number 8, but it looks like that there's a separate hotfix coming. In addition to all those nice points of interest, there was several other things being added. I think the one which surprised all of us was the nice aircraft, right? Probably most of you already know what I'm talking about. There were the additional types of the Cessna 172, right? We had them with wheels, but now we can also land on water. We have it with skis and also with floats. But the one I'm really referring to is somewhere else on the list. You can see that I'm searching for it, because that was probably the most coolest airplane which was released for Flight Simulator as part of the Asobo official releases. And that's the Junkers. The Junkers GU52, which was released in 4 versions. The, I would say, retrospect version, or the old version, or the original version. The floats one, the skis one, and then you had the retrofit, which was really, I would say, an updated version of the Junkers. In addition to all those aircrafts, or updated aircrafts, we had several activities being added, right? Activities was the new name for all the things like discovery flights, flight training, landing challenges, bush trips. So the discovery flights was something which was introduced already as part of previous world updates last year, but there are now also specific world updates ones, including the ones for London, Fort William, Paris, Verkers and Anchorin Sparks, Copenhagen, Lofoten Island, Berlin and the Panipi Alps. Besides the cool, I would say, nice scenery, there were also some specific city discovery flights like Helsinki, Freiburg and Black Forest, but also the other ones which are already part of the previous world updates. The largest section was, of course, the landing challenges, and the landing challenges, you know, has been completely revamped as part of the latest world update, where we have, or actually it was not the latest, it was I think the previous one, where they divided the landing challenge again in different sections. They did change the scoring, so you probably needed to redo some work, but luckily most of the scoring was still kept, I would say, active. Flight training, another section which was majorly updated. Besides the basic handling, takeoff and landing, there was the VFR navigation, which was already part of it, I think. I'm not 100% sure about that, but especially the bush trip and the IFR navigation, those two were added as part of one of the world updates. So you can see that Asobo spends, let's say, quite some time adding really cool new stuff to Flight Simulator 2020. And then we've got the cool thing, right? The bush trips. The bush trips are continuously expanded. As part of the world updates, you will see that bush trips will be added, like Discover Denmark, Finland, Iceland, Norway, Sweden, but also Germany and Swiss, right? So there are multiple, I would say, bush trips being added as part of the world updates. Reno Air Races. You might not have bought it yet. You can see I also did not buy it yet, but I did play it as part of the preview, and it, I would say, really gives a different perspective to Flight Simulator 2020, right? Performing races. If it's worth the money, that's, I would say, up to you. Now let's look at the individual world updates. The first world update, which was released this year, was world update number 3, UK and Ireland, which contained photogrammetry for both Birmingham, Bristol, Cambridge, London and Oxford. London was a massive update, but it also was, I'd say, sometimes a little bit too much, right? There was some graphical impact, there was a huge impact on the resources, there were some issues with third-party add-ons, but overall it added a lot of nice things, nice buildings. In addition to that, the world update did contain 85 new airports, right? All airports which were updated. And besides that, we got several airports which were completely hand created. Amongst them, Barra, Liverpool, Land's End, Manchester, Barton and Oudskerries. In addition to all those things, there were of course a few hundred of, I would say, well, not a few hundred, but probably roughly 100, because most world updates contain between 90 and 100 point of interests, which were added as part of this nice world update. The second world update, which was released this year, was for the Benelux and for France. So there were two major cities which received a photogrammetry update, that were Paris and Amsterdam. There was a large update for Rotterdam The Hague Airport. You know, that's my favorite airport to fly with using Flight Simulator. And there were 100 other airports being updated, not handcrafted, but simply updated. Overall, there were 109 points of interest being added to those countries, with the majority in France, where you will see most point of interests. The next world update, which was released after initially a world update for UK and Ireland and the one for France and Benelux, was for the Nordic countries. And again, a lot of photogrammetry updates, right? For Gothenburg, Oslo, Stockholm and Helsinki, there were major updates. There were also updates to airports. Roughly 99 airports were being updated and 78 points were being added to Flight Simulator 2020. That was really cool, but in addition to that, and that's probably what not all of you know, is that it also received an aerial imagery in parts of the Nordic countries and French overseas territories, and especially that last one. I don't think there's a lot of attention for that, so keep an eye on my channel, because I'm probably gonna record a video about that really soon. The last world update released this year was world update number 6, which took place in Germany, Austria and Switzerland. So the photogrammetry cities which were updated were Bielefeld, Braunschweig, Frankfurt am Main, Konstanz, Wuppertal, Graz, Vienna and Basel. And there were also several handcrafted airports being added to this update: Lübeck, Stuttgart, Heligoland, Klagenfurt and St. Gallen Alten Rhein. Besides all this handcraft work, there were some updates for airports in the region, and that were over 100 airports. And as last one, there were a lot of points being updated as part of this world update. This world update was probably also the biggest one, because looking at all the features being added and all the photogrammetry items which have been added, I think it can be called the largest one, because there were really not so many cities updated in the other world update packs compared to this last one. Besides all these nice things, there were discovery flights, landing challenges and boost trips, which were also part of this last world update. Landing challenges, we already saw them in other world updates, but for the last one, world update number 6, this was definitely the, I would say, bonus this year, which added a lot of stuff to Flight Simulator 2020. Before we end this video, I'm gonna revisit the aircraft section, because I forgot some of the aircrafts, right? You probably know it, the Boeing FA-18E, which was being added as one of the latest sim updates, because we also had sim updates. The same thing is the Aviat Pit Special S1S aircraft, which was being added as part of the latest sim update. In this video we looked at all the updates which were released, both the sim updates and the world updates, and what was updated to make Flight Simulator 2020 even, let's say, better, right? There's still a lot of work to do, and probably I will get some reactions on this video that will say, hey, you're far too positive about it. But keep in mind that it is really complex, especially with all those third-party add-ons. It will make it more complex, and I would say that's something which they really need to look into, to how improve it, that piece, because we had several instances where updates which were released decreased the performance. In some other instances it broke, I would say, third-party or community add-ons, so there is still a long road to go. Here ends this video. I hope you liked it. If you liked it, then consider to use the like button. If you got questions or comments, then feel free to post them in the comment box below. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching and see you next time.